Hello guys and welcome back to Workers and Resources Soviet Republic. So in the last episode we set up some basic production. We have a sawmill producing wooden boards for us as well as a open storage for construction materials. We have a gravel pipeline set up and a concrete and asphalt production plant and a big construction office. We also set up a farm so we can start exporting crops when we're ready. Actually, on that topic, someone pointed out to me that I might have a better return on investment if I actually build a meat production facility in this area. Given how small the farm is, the numbers are going to be very small for meat production, but I did the math and it will actually be better because I can use that meat for the settlement here and I can just export whatever I'm not using. Which brings us very nicely to the settlement right here, which we set up in the previous episode with some basic services or the construction for basic services, and now we're waiting for that to complete. As you can see, our roads are being worked on right now, and then we can start getting some people in here. So I actually think I'm gonna take up that person who told me about the meat production on their advice, but I have to check where my factory connections are, and that could be problematic. But I can, let's see, I can mirror this building like I said in previous episodes. So you can press T to mirror a building, and then you can press R to rotate by 90 degrees, or you can scroll, or you can control and scroll to get more precision. So we want it like this, and it will actually build us some factory connections, which is good. So I think I'm gonna put it up right here, and then we're gonna set up a road, and we're gonna do an asphalt road here. That's gonna connect it to this main road here, and we're gonna actually add an asphalt road all the way here. And let's approve that construction. And I don't know if I mentioned this in the previous episode, but fields can be worked on by machines like this combine or the tractor, or they can be worked on by people or workers. And generally, workers are slower than the machines, or you can use them to augment the speed of harvests and such. But we want our workers to be working in the factories and the production plants, so we are not going to make them work in the field. So I think I'm actually gonna take this field down to 0 workers as well, because it's still pretty close. Let me check the walking distance. Yeah, if it's 124 meters to that other field, yeah, if we put a house here, they might be able to walk all the way there. So back to the meat production for now. So we built a livestock farm, which is going to give us 10 tons of livestock for 20 tons of crops, but that's maximum production, which we would get if all the crops were available and all the workers were there. So I don't think that's going to happen. So I'm not going to put a livestock hall/range in there. It's basically a warehouse for livestock. So I think I'm just gonna build a slaughterhouse straight away, and you can see why right there, that it consumes 150 tons of livestock and maximum production. So it will always outconsume whatever we're producing. So we're gonna have to tweak the worker values a little bit, but it should work about fine, I think. So we're gonna build the slaughterhouse. And I would like it to ideally use the same access road if I can. And I don't know if I'll be able to fit that in. Let's see. Yeah, that's good. But why is it not giving me the... Well, it's not like the best placement, to be honest. Yeah, that could work. Because basically we don't want the workers to walk that far. So I think I'm going to put it right here. And then we're going to need a meat storage. And I think we can go with the small one. And we're gonna put it right here. I actually wonder if I could fit it in here. But if it's not generating the connection for you, then it's probably not. Oh, that could work. No, that could work. So we're saving a little bit of space. But yeah, let's go for it. And that, if I put it here, that would limit our space here. So that gives us room for maybe another house right there, or maybe some other buildings that we might need. But it looks like our bus stop is good to go, and excavation is being done on the amphitheater, which is nice. I think the construction office actually goes by proximity, So maybe these things will get built first, which is not a big deal, actually. Now, in retrospect, I wish I had built a bigger grain storage here, but not much I can do about that now. At least we're gonna have a nice supply of crops when we need them. And obviously I could set up a distribution office to start exporting these, but if we were to check the prices of crops, we would see that we wouldn't be getting a whole lot. We would be getting 17.5 ruble per ton of crops, which is not really going to offset our expenses right now. Well, maybe now, since we're only paying for limited resources and some manpower. But if we go down to meat, that's 207.5 rubles per ton, which is a lot more than the crops. So I think we're gonna wait for that. And as you can see, since we enabled global events, the prices are changing every month, I think, or every day. Okay, so you can see that our shopping center was built up, the amphitheater is on the way, and our football field is also on the way. But now I'm seeing that we have some foreign workers trying to maintain things, and we don't really want them to. So I'm gonna reduce the number of staff to 0, because we only want them to actually work in the processing plants for construction for now, and we're gonna have our own workers man these buildings once we have some. Now, on a unrelated note, I know it's been over 2 weeks since the first episode, and originally I planned to release the second one like maybe a week after, but I got a little sidetracked by a whole bunch of things. I got myself the Imperium Maledictum role-playing game, and I've been reading through that, trying to figure out what it's about and how to play it so I can play it with my friends. And so far I'm liking it very much. If you haven't heard of it, it's the new Warhammer 40k tabletop RPG from Cubicle 7. It's sort of the follow-on to Wrath and Glory, which was kind of the same thing, but it has a bit of a different theme. And I've been painting a lot of Warhammer. I've been doing the Warhammer short. I actually got myself the Necron Codex because it has some, like the new one, the 10th edition one, because it has a lot of nice lore bits. And I'm also painting a Necron army, so I just wanted some reference and maybe some information. And it's just generally nice to have the Codex, because it gives you the electronic version for the mobile app where you can see the stats and lore of everything. And obviously I've been sidetracked with some coding projects for Star Citizen. Those of you who know me from my main channel know that I'm working on the armory and the hauler, but I'm also working on a little thing on the side now that I don't know if it's going to be publishable, but it definitely has some interesting applications, and more on that probably in a community post on that channel, or maybe a video once I'm ready with it or once I'm happy with it. Anyway, on the topic of Soviet Republic, I actually recently learned what was the significance of the hammer and the sickle on the Soviet flag, which I know that sounds like a very simple thing, but I actually didn't know what it meant. Basically, the crossed hammer and sickle signify the connection or the meaning of the two main arms of the Soviet Union, which is the agriculture and the industry. And I kind of thought that was cool. I didn't know that was a thing. Obviously, flags tend to have meaning, but I didn't know that this one specifically had that meaning. I just thought like, oh, it's like a worker tools, and it's a government of the workers in theory. So yeah, see, every day we learn something new. Anyway, more of our buildings are being built up, so I'm just gonna keep reducing the staff to 0 until we have some staff. Oh, and you can see our tower crane right here, ready for pickup, and I think that flatbed is about to go pick it up. There we go, nice. And why are we having bar staff when there is no bar to be barred? Well, that's okay, I guess. Now, once this distribution warehouse is ready to go, we are going to build a distribution office, and we're going to start getting it supplied with clothing, food, and electronics. And let me reduce the staff here to 0 as well. And we're not going to need the full staff on these when we initially open the town. So we're going to just put 1 or 2 people in there for starters. But we actually now have the most important buildings ready to go. I would like to wait for the clinic at least. We are on medium difficulty, so health is going to be a concern, and if people don't get healthcare, they are going to leave, which is going to cost us more money, because we have to pay to get people into the country. And I think initially we can probably wait for the kindergarten to be finished, because if we're going to have 50 people, I don't think we're going to get that many children. Well, maybe I'm going to be wrong, so we shall see. Also, if you hear purring in this video, that's because my cat is sitting with me, so just FYI, you're not crazy. There is a cat on the recording. Also, some of you suggested that I try playing Manor Lords, and I actually have Manor Lords, and I haven't played it in a little while. I think I played it when it initially released, and I think I actually played the playtest and when it released, and then I played it maybe 3 months ago, or 4 months ago, around New Year's, and I know that there have been a few updates to it since, so I might actually check that out and make a series out of that as well, just so we have multiple things going on. But I would like to get maybe 3 or 4 episodes deep on workers and resources before I go off and start recording another game. Also, I actually want to thank all of you who are watching, because obviously this is not the first channel I have, and on my main channel, the start was very, very slow with the Star Citizen content. And yes, there's going to be some Star Citizen gameplay on this one as well. I'm just waiting for the next patch, because there's some cool new missions in there. But that channel was starting out much slower than this one. And the first episode of Workers and Resources actually got a couple hundred views, which was very surprising to me. So thank you all for watching, and if you like the series, subscribe. And if you have any more random facts for me to mention while I'm here, do let me know in the comments, and I will, or I will try to. And I know there's going to be at least 5 comments saying show cat, so note to self for when I am editing this, add a picture of my cat on screen right now, or add a picture of my cats on screen right now, because I have 2 cats. Okay, so like I assumed, looks like these livestock and meat processing facilities are being built first, which is not a huge issue. What might be an issue is that we're going to run out of storage space for crops in between, which would kind of suck. So I think I am going to set up that distribution office and have it, and as you can see, we can only set up the free one, and fortunately we are not over the limit yet, but we are going to be very soon. And you know what, that's actually a pretty solid placement for it, so let's put that in there. And this is going to be our this is going to be our supply import export. And you definitely, like I said in the last video, you definitely want to be naming buildings. Because once you build more and more, it is going to get very confusing. And I think we need a covered hull. Yes, we need a covered hull for pretty much everything, which is good. So we're going to let that move in, and we're going to add some tasks. So, yep, we want to load grain here, and we want to have some reserve. So I'm going to put that to 50% and unload over there. And we'll also be loading there, but I'm going to set that up once this warehouse here is done. And eventually I think I will also have the meat truck in here for distribution as well. Just because I don't want to waste another distribution office on this. Once we have that second city right here, I think I am going to build another distribution office for local supply, but for now we don't need it. And I thought the crops export would start going, but not, we're not over 50% yet. But soon we are going to be. So that's okay. I jumped the gun too soon. But that's okay. So we can start thinking about that second city we're going to build here. And why are we going to need a bigger settlement? We're going to need universities to do research for us, and we're also going to need more workers and more people just to manage our general industries. So what I am thinking, because I would eventually like to access, you know, the seafront here for cargo and maybe even for people transport, is that we should extend this main road somewhat this way, since we're going to have to access all this area. And let me open the minimap here. So we're going to need to access all of this area eventually as well. And I would also like to use this small border crossing or medium border crossing up here And it actually has a train line too, so we might want to build a train line there eventually as well. So we're going to probably split that road off. So we're going to sort of want to also branch out the road from down here along this hill area, all the way to the customs house. And that also gives us access to a port if we need to for whatever reason. And I am also hoping that these mountains here are going to have some resources that we can use. And anyway, we're going to need to sort of do the same gravel setup just for that city over there. And we could technically do it here, but that's kind of close. But that's kind of how I would like to do it. And since we're going to be building a railway anyway, I think we could just concentrate sort of the construction supply around here, so it all pulls from one area. I'm going to have to do some planning on that. Or we could probably put it here, but that's a little too far. I don't want to be building all the way there. Or we could, you know, put it up here, but again, don't want to build that far. Kind of complicated. But down here, we're definitely going to be putting another farm, sort of along this river here. It's just going to be all farmland right here. And maybe, and you know, we will see where we're going to be putting more settlements as we discover resources. But I kind of expect that we're going to have some resources here around this border mountain, and then sort of around this small mountain and this big one right here. So we're going to have to figure out a way to exploit all of those resources. And we want to reduce the workers here to 0 as well, so we don't have any workers coming in. Same here for now. And what are we waiting for here? Oh, I think we're waiting for workers. That's okay. That's okay. And we have a lot of machines that are not used right now. But looks like our school is ready to go. Our kindergarten is ready to go as well. And we're going to bring up the staff levels as soon as we can. Right now, priority is going to be finishing this, and that's going to happen in a few moments. And that's going to give us a supply warehouse. So now we can do this, and we're going to want to load there. But basically, load their percentages above 0. I think that's how it, And we're going to be loading clothes, food, alcohol, and electronics. And coincidentally, we are going to be offloading the same stuff. And you will see why. But first, I am going to have to do some settings here. So we don't want any crops, we don't need chemicals. Let's do 20% alcohol, 40%, 20%, and 20%. And we want basically clothes and electronics to be the smallest number of that, because that's gonna cost us a lot of money to import. And I think you know what, let's do, I think we can do actually, let's do 40 to 40%, 40%, and 10%, and 10%. Yeah, that's a little bit better. And now we're actually exporting some crops, it looks like. There we go. You see, we exported a truckload of crops. But now we also want to start loading alcohol, food, clothes, and electronics. And maybe it would be a good idea to stockpile mechanical and electronic components so we can use them in construction. But I don't think that's that much of a priority at the moment. And you can see it's filling up on alcohol. And I am actually going to add another covered hull, and I'm going to add a fridge truck. Unfortunately, we can only have the big one, which is not great, but we're gonna make it work. And since this is gonna be our local supply anyway, we can add this, and I don't think anything else really needs anything else. And now that's gonna sort of do the supplying automatically. So it's gonna be a bit of a mess of trucks for a little bit, but we're going to manage. So you see this guy's gonna go in, supply some food to the store, and some alcohol to the bar. And we now also have the refrigeration truck, which we're gonna assign to the meat storage right here once it's ready to go. But I'm still kind of wanting to build that clinic first. And I want to open up this. Let's put high priority on this so the construction office actually does some work on it. But that gives us a moment to just resupply everything while we're waiting. And we might want to start adding more fields at some point, since we still want to manage a pretty good production. So I think we can basically just put another gravel road sort of along here. And for now, gravel roads are good enough. At least for this farm, it's going to be good enough. And medium fields, also good enough for now. Basically do it for our farming needs for now, at least. And how's that clinic progressing? Not very well. Oh well, that's okay. Okay, so the current plan is to get this settlement going, which is actually underway pretty well. That small clinic actually builds pretty fast once you add some machines to it, so all good. And then we're gonna start building housing, and we're gonna probably do like a road network plan for how we want to build this. But I definitely want this road to be just going straight through here and use that as sort of the baseline. And then maybe have like a train cargo area right here. Or maybe I'll put the train cargo area here where all the construction stuff is going to be. And then have like this being the farming train and the personnel train eventually. Okay, so our clinic is built. And again, we have to reduce the staff. Otherwise, we're just going to be wasting money. But looks like our supplies are pretty much ready to go, which is good. Everything is stored and ready to go. So I think while that meat storage is being built, we can go ahead and start looking at some residential buildings. So we sort of discussed this in the previous episode. And I think I'm just going to go with this one. I could do one of the medium brick flats, but I think I'm gonna go with the small. Like, we could obviously go with the low quality ones just to save some material, but the savings are not really that meaningful. And right now I think quality is going to be more important than anything else. And you know, we can build a whole bunch of these as we need. And if we build, let's see, let's see if I can actually get workers to all these buildings. Yes, I can. So let's plan 2 houses right here, and let's not put them that close together, but let's put them right here. That gives us room for basically 40 workers there. Not quite in line there, but that's okay. And then I am going to put one back here. And what you want to do when building houses is uncheck this, so it doesn't buy a bunch of citizens, because you can invite people into a republic and it costs a little bit of money, and if you do it automatically it's gonna really increase your expenses. But we actually exported 54,000 rubles worth of grain, and we actually almost balanced the budget with grain alone, which is pretty impressive. But that's going to change obviously as soon as we have our meat storage plant going. Now, I kind of shot myself in the leg with this, because now I can't export. Or I could, but I would be risking that I'm going to run out of supply. So eventually I will have to build a second distribution office, which I would have to do anyway, but for now this is good enough. But now all of these buildings should actually build pretty fast. There's not a whole lot of material requirement and not a whole lot of manpower requirement. So it should be pretty quick. And obviously our monument there is being built as well. That's going to increase our loyalty to the government, which is also very good. And so will the playground and all of the other service buildings and sort of decoration buildings we built. Let's see. Oh, it actually doesn't increase. Oh, that's nice. So playgrounds are a fairly new addition. And I thought they increase government loyalty, but they actually increase enjoyment of sport with children. Which on one hand increases demand for sports, or like sports facilities once they're adults. But at the same time, it also improves general health, which is pretty good. And you can do various things with these. So you can influence alcohol consumption, you can influence sports, you can influence media consumption or entertainment consumption. Very interesting ways of managing the needs of your population, though it doesn't really come into play until you get the TV station and the radio station, where you can actually actively influence things in a certain way, and we'll probably get to that in many episodes, because that's a very late game thing. But looks like our monument is almost done. I think they will manage to get it done. No? Looks like they left for the day, so no monument for us today. But at least everything else is working fine so far. And what I actually think I'm going to do with the meat distribution is that at some point, once it's actually started up and we know that we can supply everything that we need, I will just place a temporary distribution office, probably here, or maybe here, and just put a refrigeration truck in there and set it to like 30% and just have it export meat so we can balance the budget a little bit. Because right now we're not, like, at all. But having meat production should eventually help. And our monument is good to go. So you see that it actually improves government loyalty. Obviously it doesn't really matter with these buildings, but that's fine. But this is more important since children are going to be going to the kindergarten and the school here, so... And on a completely unrelated note, you guys were asking how long does it take for me to make one of these episodes. So the last episode was an hour or so long in the final cut. This episode hopefully is going to be about the same length. The problem kind of is that I don't know how long the episode is going to be when I'm recording it, because there is a lot more gameplay footage than what is included in the actual end recording, because a lot of it is just me staring at things and looking at things, because the sort of early game and workers and resources is very slow. It's like the first 5-6 hours of the game, if you're playing on realistic construction where you have to build everything manually, it is very slow. So right now I think this game is up to 3 hours currently. So it takes about 2 hours to record per episode, or the first one took 2 hours to record. Then it took me about 2 hours to edit, because I haven't really edited like long gameplay footage before. So I didn't really know what I wanted out of it, and I was kind of figuring out as I went. That's why it might seem a bit disjointed in terms of editing, but hopefully this one's going to be a little better. So maybe like 6 hours total, 4 if I didn't mess up the recording. Hopefully that time difficulty is going to be decreasing as I learn how to record. Because on my main channel, my Star Citizen theory crafting videos, that takes me like 2 hours tops to like record, then edit, and make the thumbnails and upload it, and then maybe like couple hours to write, depending on how long the script is. But I kind of do my script writing in between a lot of other things as I'm coming up with ideas. So yeah, this is a very different experience for me, and I am still very much learning how to do all of this and how to like do gameplay content, because I've been doing like talking content for several years now. So I know how to talk. I like to talk. I just don't really know how to tie it into gameplay, but I am trying to figure it out. I'm very eager to hear out some suggestions, hear out some feedback, and most importantly, I'm doing this for fun. So, and our first house is already built, and now I'm gonna explain to you why I didn't want it to automatically get people to move in. So you can select what type of a person you want to move in. And you generally have, well, you have two types. You kind of have just your regular workers, then you have experts. And the difference is that experts have college education. So these guys are required to like teach at a university or be a doctor, and some other places require experts on top of workers. I think schools also require experts. No, they don't. But other places do. So that's why you get that choice. But also, if you look at transportation menu, and I don't actually have a transport menu anywhere that I could look at. Oh, there we go. I can look at the bus, and you will see that you actually can select which education workers can have. And obviously, if you don't have any schools, if you don't have any schools, you're going to end up with workers with no education. If you have elementary schools and kindergartens, they're going to have basic education, and if you have universities, they're going to have university education. So that's why education is important if you have it turned on. Anyway, let's keep going, and we now have a second house ready to go. So let's invite 5 experts, and let's invite 15 workers, and let's invite 20 more workers. And now we're gonna have to do a little bit of setup. So let's increase that to 2 staff members. Let's have 2 staff members, and I think we're gonna need more here. Actually, 5 is pretty good. Let's have all the doctors. Like, obviously, they're not gonna fill out all the spots. The way this game assigns workers who work in places is kind of finicky, so you have to work around it a little bit. And let's not do... Actually, we should prioritize meat production as soon as we can. So what I think I'm going to do, what you can actually do in this game is assign workers a workplace. So let's assign guys from this house to work in the meat processing, and let's put more emphasis on the livestock farm, and let's do 60-40. That should do it, and we can probably edit that as we move along, and we can actually raise the number of workers on this so we don't get any people who say they don't have a place to work. And now we finally have some workers on our own, and they are actually starting to work it out. Oh, looks like we need some more workers on this, which sucks, but hopefully that's gonna level itself out at some point, because we have some people, because kindergarten is non-functional. Oh no, that looks fine. So we don't have any teachers. That's kind of problematic. So let's reduce the number of doctors, and that should free up some workers for that. So initially we're going to have a lot of problems with some areas of work not being filled, but that's also okay. But we're producing some meat now, which is also very nice, and we can start thinking about building more housing. And we actually finally have some people on here, which is very nice, and we definitely going to want to start thinking about more people. And let's just do regular workers for now. Yes, I know citizen health is too low, but there is not a whole lot I can do about it. Like average, you see average lifespan is going up, since we kind of went from no access to doctor to actually pretty good access, since everybody has a doctor now. So that should be fine. There is no meat, and they're going to be unhappy about it, which is fair. But we are going to work that out as we add more workers. And unfortunately, the only way to get out of the woods in this game is to just get more workers in right now. Let me actually disable this stop here, so we don't have workers just going there and wasting time. And that's going pretty well, so let's add some more housing. And I think we want some more housing right here. So let's build 3 more houses. And we can give them a little bit of space in between, just so they're not that cramped. And hopefully that's gonna level out some of the worker shortages that we have. Now, ideally, I would want workers from here to actually man the processing plants, but I don't think we can afford that yet. So we're just gonna have to stick it out a little bit longer. Basically, we need those processing facilities for construction to be running. So I would rather be paying for external workers to like guarantee them being there until we like fill out all the work positions here and we start seeing our domestic workers up here, which might take quite a while since it's actually pretty far away. It's like they can't actually get there, but we will eventually start using this bus stop to, you know, bus people in here for work. Oh yeah, there we go. So I can actually specify where the workers should go from the bus stop. So I can actually stop foreign workers from going to work on the buildings down there. But I do actually want these guys to keep going to work in all of these. And I think the gravel processing plant should get priority. Yeah, let's just do 20% for everything, and we will adjust as we need to when we need to. But for now, we pretty much have everything we need, so that's not a huge deal. Looks like meat production is running well, which is very nice. I think we might want to be putting more priority on the livestock eventually, just so we can produce more. And at this point, I think I'm gonna disable the export on this for now, since we're gonna need all that grain to raise livestock eventually. But other than that, looks like we are more or less good, besides the lack of meat, which a lot of people are gonna be unhappy about. Yeah, unable to, yeah. So we're gonna get a lot of warnings. When you click on a building, you can see what warnings are happening. Obviously, a lot of these people are going to have concerns because there's no staff to run education and all of that, which is unfortunate, but nothing we can do about that until we have more workers. And you will see that this is kind of a self-fueling problem, that you always need more workers to operate all these things, which is just how it is in this game. But it's fine, we are going to make it work as soon as more housing is built. So maybe I jumped the gun a little bit. No, so we are selling meat, actually. No problem. So I'm not sure what happened there, but we don't want to do that right now. We definitely don't want to do that right now. Yeah, looks like we're all clear. Well, but that made us actually quite a lot of money, I think. So if we look at export of resources, we'll see that we... Oh. I made an oopsie. So, I made an oopsie, and I'm going to explain to you what I did. So since I foolishly decided to have the local distribution and import-export within the same distribution office, what was happening was that I was bringing in clothes, electronics, and then I was selling them back out, which obviously lost me a lot of money. So yeah, watch out for that if you play this game. So which might be a good point at which I separate the meat export, but not yet, not yet. Eventually, like right now we're not making enough to make it worthwhile. So you see that I'm losing like 10,000 rubles per month on that, which sucks, but well, we learned something. But I wonder why... Ah, there's a line forming in front of the store because there aren't enough salespeople to take care of the people who are waiting. So, good old tradition of forming lines. Which sucks. We don't want this to happen, because people are going to be very unhappy very soon. So we really need to get more workers in here. Okay, so we have... Oh, looks like actually someone grew up and moved in. Okay, so we added 20 workers. That should alleviate a part of the problem. And this one's gonna be done... not now, because there's resources missing that we're waiting for. But more workers is good. That should give us more people to man different factories and such, and help us with some of the personnel shortages that we have at the moment. Yeah, I like how the bar is just like functioning. No problems with the bar. It's like people drinking alcohol. No problem. No problems here, sir. Okay, another house all built and ready to go. Oh, and someone already moved in as well. Nice. So let's invite more people from the Soviet bloc. And once this one is built, I'm gonna invite a whole bunch of experts to help man the jobs that need an expert, which is gonna cost me a lot of money, but it is what it is. And that's done. almost, and done. And we want to invite 20 experts. So just like that, we grew the Republic to almost 200 people, which should be good enough, hopefully. I'm really hoping at this point, because we are going to need to start manning our own production buildings here in a moment. But hopefully, it looks like happiness is going up, and looks like shops have staff, kindergarten has staff, teachers are in schools. Very nice. And we don't want to deal with government loyalty yet, and generally you don't really need government loyalty unless you're, going at like very high difficulty levels where higher government loyalty might help people not escape. But for now, we don't really need it. Also, we don't know what the loyalty is because this says 53%, but that's kind of the baseline. But we don't know the actual number because we don't have a secret police. And we're going to get to that in future episodes when we have the bigger city under construction. But looks like right now we're doing pretty well. So there are still some people who are unable to get some things, but that should slowly resolve itself as the shop is manned. And yeah, we can't really do anything about alcohol consumption at the moment, which is okay. But what we can do is we can build a couple flats. And we're going to build some flats right here. Just 2 more. And we're actually going to send... Or actually, I don't think we even need to like specifically send these guys to the bus stop. But we're going to have eventually this small bus stop ferrying workers from the border crossing. And we're going to have them bus workers between these 2 stops so they can work in all of these factories up here. And I think we are going to want to start another street going this way, just so we can build more housing. And I will connect that up here. Terrain is a bit uneven, but that's fine. And we're just going to add more housing here and maybe have like a playground in the middle here. A playground behind the bar. That's kind of ironic, but where else would you pass out after a night of drinking? And I don't really want to build up in this area here yet, because I'm kind of thinking maybe I'm going to want to have like a train depot in here or something that I'm going to need for when I'm managing trains and stuff later in the game. But what we can start thinking about now is where we're going to put the rest of this while that down there is under construction. So I'm just going to extend this road here, and this is very temporary. We might move that as we go, but generally I would like to have that farm down here connected to the train tracks, because eventually transporting grain and resources is going to be very important. So we are going to want to have some of our train cargo handling areas in here, and then since I think up here we're going to have gravel production, that's where we are going to want to have our construction materials, since from there, I think right here, I'm going to build the rail construction office. And that's going to need access to gravel and all the raw materials. And at the same time, I will want to have a connection to this here customs house. And let's give that road a nice curve and just sort of move it down. Right now, we want to make sure our construction and everything else is manned by locals, so we start saving money. But I think I'm going to build maybe 2-3 houses around here, and then have like a playground, maybe a statue, or let's see what we can actually build. So we can build a fountain, but we probably don't want that. It's not really giving us any bonus. We could do some statues. That might work. Let's see. Concrete statue of Lenin. Yeah, we could do that. Also, we can build fences in this game, which is more of a decorative thing, I believe. Or maybe you can, like, restrict access to certain areas, but, well, we don't really need that at the moment. Oh, we can put Christmas lights around places. That's kind of cool. I don't think we need like any tourism infrastructure, but eventually you're able to like build hotels and galleries and that kind of stuff where tourists go and they pay money and you get that as tourism income for your republic, which might be pretty useful later in the game. But for now, we don't really need any of this. Looks like the needs of the people are somewhat satisfied. I'm not sure why some of these people can't get food. But I think that's gonna... I think there's like a lot of fluctuation with how many people are actually working at the shop. So, yeah, that's one of the problems in this game, that you... Unless you manually assign workers to a building, the priority of where people work is kind of skewed. So you might get some inconsistencies until you have so much population. You can actually just have workers everywhere at all times. So, road construction for the new street is underway, but looks like our troubles with people's needs are resolving over time, which is good. It's kind of sad that we don't have enough sports areas, so I might actually use this area in between the buildings for... Let's see, what can we build? A basketball court? That's pretty simple and easy. I'll like put it right there, and let's put a sidewalk leading to it. And let's sort of link that with the buildings. And we can actually... I think we could do it like this. Just like have a sidewalk in between the houses. And like I said in the previous video, pedestrianism is extremely important in this game because people don't have cars, so you have to build a whole lot of sidewalks. And since we're actually like approaching this river area here, like at some point I would like to build a bridge that connects to the western checkpoint and maybe have like a small village here as well, but that's not a super high priority at the moment, since we're gonna have to build a rail line going there as well. So we might actually have two bridges. We might have like a car bridge right here and then have a railway bridge going through here. Not sure. Haven't decided yet, because I think if I did it right here, I'm not gonna have enough room. So that might work, and we might build like a little tourist area on both sides. Here's like, you know, a nice waterfront, and we can start bringing in tourists from the west, which would give us some dollar income, which we can use to buy vehicles and all sorts of stuff, because they do have some interesting vehicles, like more effective combines or metro sets, and they also have some like buses and trains and kind of stuff. Oh, and they have containers also. Huh, interesting. We can just like buy a container of stuff. Interesting. Okay, so we have more housing done, and as you can see, we already have workers moving in. So we are going to invite more to fill the spots, and we are going to open the bus platform. And hopefully eventually there are going to be workers waiting at this bus stop so they can be bussed over here and start working. And it looks like they are. And that should be slowly starting to fix some of the manpower issues we have. But since more people are being born and people are growing up, we're going to have a problem with people not having enough housing, which is opportune that we built this new street where we can put more housing. And I'm somewhat tempted to put a medium flat here, but I'm not. I'm gonna like keep this place with like small flats, just to like no particular reason. It's like two small flats right there. And let's give them a sidewalk, just sort of linking everything together. And let's build a statue. That's a big statue. That's a very big statue. I sort of didn't expect that, to be honest. And it even has like less influence than the emblem, or it has like more influence but close by. So I think I'm just gonna do like the emblem like this. It's gonna be like shielding the clinic from the houses, I guess. But our meat production is really ramping up. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna build a free distribution office right here. And there's not gonna be another field. I'm just going to put more housing along this line here. And so this is gonna be, we're gonna rename this to just to local supply, even though it does like import stuff. but we are going to rename this to... We're going to rename this to meat export, and we are going to purchase a refrigeration truck. And let's wait for that to get delivered. Our construction is still fueled by foreign labor, which is fine for now. I think we have like barely enough workers waiting for the bus here to just keep these running. Maybe that's currently our problem. So I might need to do, let's see. Yeah, no workers. So I might need to do a thing where I tell these guys that you now go to the bus stop. And that's gonna help us get all these buildings working, which is a whole lot of people that are not gonna be working anywhere else, which is a bit of a problem, but I guess we're just gonna have to deal with it. But looks like our production buildings are working, which is very good. But since we're here, we can set up that meat export, and let's just make sure we have a reserve of at least 30%, which is fine for now, and that's gonna give us a little bit of money to be spent elsewhere. And you can actually see local workers are doing work on... Because workers will actually go anywhere where there's work to be done, so they will just do constructions, even if they're not actually assigned to construction, because normally you would have to have this bus stop assigned to the construction office. And the construction office would take the bus and take the workers from there. And eventually we are going to do that. So just bear with me for a second. Important thing to note, as you're upgrading footpaths and stuff, it only makes you pay for the material that's missing to the next tier. So we already had a gravel footpath done, so all I have to do is supply the asphalt. But you can definitely start seeing how things are speeding up now. Since we have our own workers, and they're all doing everything they can. So that's going to speed up construction for us. It's going to start some manufacturing like we have done here. And I think we will want to build probably another house here and leave this space open in case we want maybe more service buildings. Or maybe we can do like this, and this, and then leave this open in case we need like another shop or something. The most important reason why I didn't want to be pulling in foreign workers for these is that you can see that all the wood cutting stuff, or the wood production, it's mostly standing still because we don't need boards at all times, and I don't want to export them because they're not that expensive, where it would be actually worthwhile for us to be exporting them. And same for the gravel production. Storage is full, and you know, same for all of the other construction production buildings. They're full. Okay, so that's another house built, and I am sort of thinking about inviting workers here. Yeah, let's invite workers and let's send them to the bus stop, and that should give us more workers at the bus stop. And we're going to change the worker supply building to this bus stop. So right now the only things coming out of the customs house are going to be mechanical components and electronic components. Since we don't need a lot of them at any given time, this is fine. Once we have that train construction office, we're going to want a warehouse, and we're going to want to import them manually. But we will sort of get to that in a later episode. So we might see a little slowdown in construction now, since there are not going to be enough workers. But at the same time, all the free workers from the adjacent buildings are going to flock to this construction site and help out as they go. So that's going to help a little bit. And you see that guy just walked in there. These guys are not there because the construction office took them there. It's just a free workspace that's near them, so they all just go there. So that's kind of the boosting factor when building something in a city. Yeah, I hear you, there's not enough culture. Yeah, with how many people there are now, it might be a problem to sort of get enough culture going. So I think we might want to build a house of culture, which we talked about in the last episode. And you know what, right there is actually a pretty good location, I think. So yeah, let's build that right there. But we have all our housing set up for now. There are workers who can do construction. And yeah, if we can get 20 workers to do construction for us, that's actually pretty solid. But for now, we are actually becoming a very self-sufficient republic. So you can see, if I didn't invite a whole bunch of immigrants, and if we didn't have some foreign manpower coming in, we would actually almost break even with the exports that we have. So we are getting close to balancing the economy very early on in the game. Obviously, as we build more, that deficit is going to increase, but we're eventually going to be able to fix that by becoming more and more self-sufficient by, for example, making our own food, which is what we're going to start setting up in the next episode, probably sort of in this area as soon as I figure out how I'm going to lay the whole thing out. But I think right here is going to be one train silo that's going to be for one farm that's going to produce food and alcohol, and right here we're going to have a second one that's going to produce fabric for clothes eventually, and then sort of gives us this entire area to start building a town, and then railway construction right here. And with that, I think that's going to be it for today's episode. Thank you for watching, as always. And if you liked the video, leave a like and subscribe, and drop in a comment for the YouTube algorithm. And if you have some suggestions on what should I do in this game, I'm very willing to learn, so let me know in the comments or on Discord. Thank you all for watching, be safe, and I will see you on the next one. Good night.